Um, we are at a very crucial stage in the country's era. And over the last 10 years, we have seen devastation. When I say devastation, I'm talking about economic, social, and political. In the way that India exists over 2014 to 2024, which is why we are calling it 10 Saal Anyay Kal, 10 years of injustice. 10 years of injustice to the people of India and to all of us as we head for general elections 2024. When I talk about devastation, I'm talking about the economic ruin that the people of this country are facing today. I'm talking about our increase in unemployment, the distress in our agriculture. I'm talking about the increase in crimes against women, the injustice against our minorities. And obviously, in everybody's mind here today is the injustice on Manipur, where we have continued unrest for more than 9 months now. I would like to detail these injustices to you. I request your patience while we go through what 10 years of the BJP government, of a Modi government, has brought to all of us in all the states, from Manipur to Bengal, where I come from, the injustice that we face. We are looking at rampant unemployment in the country today. It is the highest rate of unemployment in 45 years of this country, is the highest rate right now. In 2012, there were 1 crore unemployed men and women in this country. Today, that has risen in 2022 to 4 crore unemployed men and women in the country. There are 10 lakh sanctioned government jobs that have not been filled up. That means that in a scenario where more than 4 crore people are unemployed, we do have 10 lakh sanctioned jobs within the government that the government chooses not to fill up. The current scenario is such that 1/3 of graduates and postgraduates are looking for a job in this country today. Thus, all of us, all of you, all of us with our younger relatives coming out of schools and colleges, 1 out of 3 of them will not be having a job in the present scenario. As a result, two unemployed people die by suicide every hour. This whole press conference will take approximately an hour. Statistically, it says that by the end of this hour, there are 2 unemployed people who will unfortunately commit suicide, statistically. And if you look at prices, the basic bedrock on which middle class, or poor, or be it our agricultural class, or be it our working class in the cities live, I want to quickly compare some prices of 2014 and 2024 to you, which will absolutely belie the entire marketing that the Modi government keeps on doing about itself. Petrol used to be 71 rupees. It is now 97 rupees. It's an increase of 37%. Highest increase is LPG, that the basic, our kitchen runs on LPG. 410 rupees has become 903 rupees. That's a 120% increase. Diesel has increased from 55 to 90 rupees, a 64% increase. Mustard oil has increased from 90 to 143. That's a 59% increase. Atta has increased from 22 rupees to 35 rupees, a 59% increase. Milk has gone up from 35 rupees to 60 rupees, a 71% increase. Every percentage of increase that I've talked about within these 10 years is above of 50%, going up to 120%. That is the difference of prices, our essential prices, commodity prices that we are paying today in this country. Crude oil, in 2014, it was just above $100 a barrel. Now it is approximately $79 a barrel. However, the prices that we are buying it at our petrol pumps remains the same. It's still around 100 rupees. Where is that extra benefit going? It is not going to us, the consumers. GST and demonetization. Enough has already been spoken about it. I'm sure you have heard many press conferences from us with regards to GST and demonetization. They have completely ruined small business. In states like Manipur, it is small business, it's MSME that essentially run the state. And demonetization and GST have effectively ruined MSME as an industry. Let's take a look at our farmers, the distress of our farmers. Farmers were promised that their incomes would be doubled. Instead, they have got very pathetic MSP increases, minimum support price increases, or none at all. And the 3 farm laws that were railroaded through for the Prime Minister's corporate cronies. It took the farmers of North India and elsewhere to come together and sit outside Delhi for months for the government to finally say that they would roll back those three farm laws. As we all know, the farmers are again at Delhi demanding a discussion with the government on MSP. 700 farmers had died in that battle against the Modi government. They fought a pitched battle against the Modi government demanding their rights, and 700 people lost their lives. Was it necessary? The Pradhan Mantri, on the other hand, who is making money in the agricultural sector? The only people who seem to be making money are the government. The Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which is the insurance, has made a profit of 40,000 crores in the same time period. As far as farmers are concerned, one farmer commits suicide every year. Our workers are abandoned. Real wages, effective wages on the ground every month, has been stagnant for more than a decade. Wage growth is less than 1% per year, which means that if you're getting a real wage of 1,000, you're getting less than an increase of 100 rupees in that year. The push towards contractualization and self-employment. Essentially, the government has focused on making sure that people move away, are being pushed out of employment with proper jobs into contractual jobs. This push should rather, if people wanted to, if the government wanted to take this country forward, then this push should have actually been towards manufacturing, towards increase in manufacturing, towards increase in export-oriented industries. The lockdown generated a humanitarian crisis, which migrant labor, and from the east and the northeast especially, we essentially send out huge numbers to the rest of the country and abroad as migrant labor. It generated the 4 crore migrant laborers in this country. Their entire livelihood was disrupted, and nothing has ever been spoken about that and how to address what went wrong at that point of time. The workers and MSME, basically, you could look at trade union workers of the factories, MSME, which is your small business, they're essentially left to their own devices. There is no support for them from this government. And since the interest of the present government is only in crony capitalism, only in a few big industrialists, they can expect no such support. If I look at the Modi and Adani Raj, the Modani Raj, as I would like to call it, we have ensured that India's investigative agencies have effectively been neutered. When I say neutered, it means that our investigative agencies, instead of being a check and balance, are rather being used to facilitate the entry of his cronies into every strategic sector of the economy. Our regulators are asleep. We are looking at import of coal being over-invoiced to the benefit of Adani companies, while our electricity consumers, you and me as a consumer of electricity, and our coal utility domestic manufacturers, they are suffering. But the profits are now going to Adani group companies with the over-invoicing of imported coal. The stock market prices are artificially being inflated. Anybody who understands the stock market can understand that. There are complete violations of SEBI rules with regards to minimum ownership. This is also how the current government is basically there only for the benefit of its few crony capitalists. Coming to social injustice. When we look at the scheduled caste, the scheduled tribe, and other backward castes, they have been betrayed. The crimes against these communities have increased by 48% in 2022 from 48% 2022 from 2013. So in the 9 years that we are seeing, of which effectively 8 years are the Modi government, we are seeing an increase of almost 50% in crimes against our backward classes, our backward tribes, our backward castes. The government refuses to hold a socio-economic and caste census. All of you know that the 2022 census, 2021 census has not happened yet. The decadal census that happens by the government of India has not been completed for 2021. It hasn't started. But more importantly, the 2011 decadal census had carried out a socio-economic census survey, which was not taken out since the government changed in 2014. And the government refuses to have a socio-economic and caste census. Now, if this was held, this would allow representation, will allow the government to understand where people are being unrepresented with regards to their rights, be it in jobs or be it in benefits from the government. Privatization and contractualization is nothing other than an attack on reservation. It's an attack on ensuring the rights of those disadvantaged, especially when you look at health and when you look at education. When we look at injustice against women, There are 31,516 rape cases in 2022. That's 86 cases, rape cases a day, and these are the ones that are being reported. Convictions of these same rape cases, this is the reported ones, which means we have an FIR, we have a cognizable offense here. The conviction rate is at 27% only. This is the situation of women in the country under Modi today. Do we remember Kuldeep Singh Singha, the BJP MLA who was implicated in Unnao rape case? Has anything happened? Do we remember the Modi government's early approval of Bilkis Bano's rapists and murderers? That is how the government views women today. Social disharmony. BJP is openly spreading hate and violence on caste and religious lines. We are seeing fault lines emerging across the country on caste and religious lines because of the open agenda of hatred. Hate speech is something that is under discussion in media everywhere. Hate speech has increased in the country. Hate conversations have increased in the country, and this hate conversation is targeted towards caste discrimination, especially which has become institutionalized in higher education. It is targeted towards minorities. Manipur itself is burning for 9 months, and the Prime Minister is silent, has refused to speak up on Manipur till now. When I look at political injustice, I am talking about institutional subversion. All independent institutions that are critical to maintain a robust democracy are compromised. Institutions have become, in effect, you could say, a rubber stamp for the RSS agenda. Let us take a look at the states which have elected a government, but where the government has turned because MLAs have been bought and purchased. Arunachal, Goa, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Manipur. Money, power, and muscle has changed the wish of the electorate in all these states in the last 10 years. 95% of all ED and CBI cases are against opposition politicians. If a case is fair, so be it, it should be pursued. Is it possible that only opposition politicians will attract ED and CBI cases? How come that the moment somebody enters the BJP, he becomes part of a washing machine where everything on him becomes white? And national security, most importantly, is compromised by a government which loves to shout about nationalism. We have Chinese troops today in Depsong Plains, in Demchok, in Ladakh. 2,000 square kilometers of Indian land has been lost to the Chinese. Over the last few years, about 18 rounds of military talks have been held. 18 rounds. There has been no effect. Our 2,000 square kilometers are still gone. Demchok Plains is still gone. Demchok is still gone. Depsong Plains is still gone. To give a very specific figure to the loss that we have on our borders, there were 65 patrolling points on this part of the country, Ladakh, for the Indian Army. We've lost 26 out of those 65 patrolling points. That means that the Indian Army can no longer patrol 26 out of those 65 points. And yet, whenever an election comes, the BJP would love to say that if you're not voting for us, go to Pakistan, go to Bangladesh. You're not nationalists. And yet they are the ones who have allowed our land to be given away, and not a mention from the Prime Minister with regards to the same. Our national security was further compromised on the 19th of June 2020, when the Prime Minister himself said, "Na koi hamare seema mein ghus aaya hai, neither has anybody entered our territory, na hi koi ghusa hua tha, neither had anyone entered before." Is that not an insult to our soldiers who sacrificed themselves in Galwan, fighting with the Chinese army to protect the motherland? The Prime Minister never mentions China. In Manipur, I have a figure of 35,000 people being displaced. Considering the fact that the situation is going on, by now maybe this figure is more than that. 35,000 people internally, yes, 65,000 people internally displaced. 1,700 houses burned, 180 people dead. These figures have probably gone up by now over this month from May 3rd, 2023. And yet, there is no conversation from the government. This is to ask all of you, media, why are you, to the people of Manipur, to the people elsewhere, to take a close, hard look at the injustice that has been meted out to us, the people of India, over these 10 years. to go back to a governance where governance is actually about getting your better politics for people, a better society for people, communal harmony, about economic justice, about employment, about jobs. And we know that in a few months, the people of India are working towards this, are talking about this. And we are, we are sure that in a few months, this will be answered at the ballot box. This will be answered at the EVM. And the people of India will answer the Modi government for all this injustice. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Ranajit Mukherjee. I'm a National Secretary and AICC Secretary of the Indian National Congress.